Labor content, cost of direct labor, idle time, and labor utilization. So an important aspect in assembly lines, especially when they are manual labor-based assembly lines, is the amount of work the workers have to do and the cost of labor that that we have related to the assembly line. So labor content we will define as sum of activity times. So in our case, because the activity times were 13, 11, and 8, the labor content is 32 minutes per scooter. This is how much work we require to do in order to assemble each scooter, right? Remember, it's divided among the 3 workers. Assuming wage for the workers is $12 per hour, which you can actually convert to 20 cents per minute, the question is the cost of labor per scooter 32 minutes labor content times 20 cents, which is $6.40 per scooter. Is it? No, it is not. The reason for that is that workers are not just paid for their productive time, for the labor content that they do, right? They are paid wages for a week of the work, the time that they are available for, not the one that they are usefully, right, spending. And right, it's not their fault that there is some unused time. It's the management's problem to allocate the work in such a way that there is little or no waste of worker time. So cost of direct labor, that we will calculate cost of direct labor as the total wages per unit of time divided by flow rate of the products. So remember, flow rate, we calculated it as 125 scooters per week. This is in the month of March because the demand is only 125 scooters per week. Total wages per week will be, well, we have 3 workers. Each of them works 12 hours per, right? 12 gets $12 per hour. And they work 35 hours per week. So the total salaries for those 3 workers are $1,260 per week. And now we're ready to do the calculations according to this formula. Let's divide the wages per week per flow rate per week, right? And so notice this is both per week and per week. So this we can remove from the calculation, and we are left with dollars per scooter, and we get $10.80 per scooter, right? So why is the cost of direct labor more than $6.40, right? Why is it so much more? Well, it is due to the fact that labor is not well utilized, right? First of all, the current flow rate of 125 scooters per week is below the capacity of the assembly line, right? So we're not producing as fast as the assembly line can produce. Remember, the assembly line can produce 161 scooters every week. So this is already creating lower than possible utilization, right? And even if we are producing at this capacity, 161 scooters every week, some workers, like workers 2 and workers 3, that have lower than the activity times than worker 1, they would also be underutilized because, right, they have just less work than the worker 1 who is the bottleneck, right? So what is the idle time and what is the labor utilization? So again, just to recall, I'm putting here the flow rate, if you remember, is 125 scooters per week. The cycle time that this flow rate makes us work at is 16.8 minutes for every scooter, right? So if we want to produce at this rate, we basically have 16.8 minutes for every scooter. And now I can calculate how much idle time in total there is, because I can take this cycle time, subtract the activity time, and find out the idle time for worker 1, for worker 2, and for worker 3, right? And so it gives me a total of 18.4 minutes for every scooter. So now we can see, right, that basically those workers work a total of 16.8 minutes, but in terms of the available time, it's 3 workers, so we have 3 times this, but the labor content is just 13 plus 11 plus 8, right? So now if you want to calculate labor utilization, you can calculate it as labor content divided by labor content, labor content plus sum of idle times. So labor content was 32 minutes. We calculated it earlier as the sum of those 13, 11, and 8. And here idle time is 18.4 minutes. So our average labor utilization is 63.5%. It might be easier to compute this average labor utilization by calculating, right? This is like a per unit total productive time for each scooter divided by total available time for each scooter, right? We can calculate it, for example, total productive time in a week and total available time in a week, right? So the calculation would be, well, we work 32 minutes for every scooter, and every week we produce 125 scooters. So it gives us 4,000 minutes of productive time per week. How much time do we have available is 3 workers, each working 35 hours per week, and there is 60 minutes, right, in an hour. So we get 6,300 minutes per week of available time. And so that gives us also 63.5%. So you see, workers' utilization of labor of workers is only 63.5%. Remember, it is due to 2 reasons. The reasons are because we're producing at a lower than rate than the capacity. We just produce 125 scooters per week, when we could actually produce at 161. And also workers 2 and workers 3 have some idle time, even if we were producing at full capacity. So that's the reason why the cost of direct labor is $10.08 for scooter, and it's much more than it would seem if you were to calculate it based on looking just at the labor content and valuing it at the labor cost per minute.